their benefit, Lord, not for our own benefit. Lord, just be with our national government, our state government as well, Lord. Be with the upcoming election in November, Lord, that the leaders will be chosen that you want in the position, Lord. Lord, I ask you to be with the sick. I ask you to be with the afflicted. In Jesus' name I pray and ask these things. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Call the meeting to order. Tonight we have several visitors who want to explain their case to the council, and so rather than have them to stay for the entire meeting, I'd like to start off with the visitors. David Bowles, representing Monarch Engineering. He traveled from Lawrenceburg to this. Mr. Bowles, if you're ready.
I am. Visited with you guys here a few months back, and in that time frame we've taken a pretty good look at your water system and found some stuff that you all are probably all aware of that has to do with water loss. And what we did, we went back to the state's records and looked to see what the state had been turned into them as far as water loss. And this chart's not real difficult to read. It's for the year 2011. Got the months there on the left-hand column. That first column is the gallons sold per month, and then the next one's the gallons sold per day. And then we're comparing that to the water treated per month, and then the water treated per day. And then that next to the last column talks about the water loss per day. So you can see from January to December at the very bottom line, the average is you're losing about 550,000 gallons a day for that period in 2011. So it looks like you are treating 21 million gallons on average. You're selling 4 million gallons a month. And that equates to 146 or about 150,000 gallons per day that you sell, and you lose 551,000. And that works out to be like a 79% water loss, and that's probably the highest that we've ever seen. The industry standard is about 15%. So, with that being, you all know that it's been going on for a long time. We looked at some reports that were written several years ago, and water loss was that high back 7 or 8, 9, 10 years ago. And I guess our goal is to try to figure out what would be the plan as far as trying to cure the water loss. And just to give you a little idea, what we use in the industry is a rule of thumb that for water treated, we like to say that it costs about $1 per 1,000 gallons to treat water. So if you look at what you're losing every day, you're losing like $500 a day. That's a debatable number, but it's industry standard number, just to give you an idea. So with that in hand, does anybody have any questions with the information that we just looked at? What we tried to do is put together an idea of what it would take to attempt to start to fix the problem. This is a budget of items to look at as far as what we see. And the big thing that we're looking at is you've got tanks that are overflowing when nobody knows it because you don't have a telemetry system that's accurate to determine that. And you've got a lot of meters in the ground, water meters, that have been in the ground for a long time. The life of meters is about 10 years. And normally you test them where you either get new ones, and I understand talking to Chris, you got some meters might be 30 years old, 40 years old. And that front page is a summary of the items that we were looking at. If you'll turn to the second page, we've got 9 basic items that we're looking at initially, and we're not talking about replacing any water lines yet because we're not for sure which water lines need to be replaced because the mapping system hasn't been developed to the point, I guess, where it needs to, and we're working on that. And we've got a set of maps that we put together based on the best information that's available here in the city. And we've got 4 boxes full of old maps that we retrieved from the water plant just to show you an idea of what we've done. We put together a color-coded map that looks something like that. That's the town area, just to give you a little bearing of where everything is. Here's the water plant, here's the New York tanks, and here's 119 going through. And the different colors are different sizes of water lines based on that information we looked at. And there's places in here where there's gaps where we didn't have any information or things may not look quite right, so we're going to turn this over to Chris and his crew to see if they can review this and determine what's deficient, what needs to be changed, where the valves are, and where the hydrants are. And you say, well, is that important that we really do that? It is from this perspective that you're under an agreed order, and as part of the agreed order, it asks for this particular map. And we turned this map into the state hoping that this would suffice, and it didn't. They said, no, we want the valves and the hydrants, those things on there. So we can only take it so far. We've got to this point, and we're going to turn it over to your folks, and hopefully they can take that and add to this in the next month or two or so. We can develop a better map that we can send to the state and suffice them in that issue. I think that's the one remaining item that's left on the agreed order is to do the mapping. But if you look at what we've done on this second page, we picked out 9 items that we think that are critical. And it's almost like we want to look from the bottom to the top. That item number 8 is the item where we're talking about replacing the water meters in the system with a radio read system. And that's the one where you can read them instantaneously with the setup in your automobile as you drive by. It keys in the reading where the guys don't have to get out and read them. And in talking with Chris and Robin, we're under the impression that there's approximately 960 meters that are more than 10 years old. There's 140 meters that are less than 10 years old that wouldn't need full replacement, so that's covered in items 8 and 9. You can see that's an expensive item, but that's a realistic cost to replace those meters. Would be $1,000 a piece. So 960 meters at $1,000 a piece, you're right at $1 million. And then the other items that we're looking at, item number 1, the master meter that the water plant's been in for 30 years. We'd like to know the accuracy of that, and with the fact that it's been in for 30 years, we budgeted to replace the meter itself. So, if that meter's off, then that skews the results of everything that we look at throughout the system. And then we've been to the water tanks themselves. The state has looked at them too, and they're recommending that we do an inspection on them with a certified inspector that does this kind of work on water tanks. They charge about $5,000 a piece to do one. You've got 6 tanks that need to be inspected. The third item was getting the ladders and the level indicators back on the tank. I know the state had made a note of that issue needed to be resolved, so we've got a budget price for that. And these are estimates. You might look at it and say, well, I think I could do it cheaper. You might could, but for budgeting purposes, we've got a number in there that would at least cover the work. The fourth item was to repair the valves that are in the vaults at the tank, and we noticed when we were at the tanks that a lot of the valving was inoperable, it was rusted up, a lot of it was really old, and just needed to be probably gutted and replaced. And with the telemetry system, you could straight pipe a lot of that stuff, and the telemetry is going to talk back and forth to the plant, and that way you don't have to rely on an automatic valve working. And then the fifth item, we know the Pride Terrace pump station is in bad shape, should be renovated. And then the sixth item is the radio telemetry base station, which would be housed here. It's like a central station here. And then item 7, we've got 6 locations where we think the telemetry ought to be installed that would be monitoring the tanks and the Pride Terrace pump station. So just as a summary of all that, we get down to the grand total, the subtotal, so $1,270,000. We budgeted 10% contingency, which is industry standard, which takes into effect things that we skip, miss, don't know about, find out later in construction, that sort of thing. And then we flip back over to the front page, and you'll see that top item, that's the development cost that we just looked at, $1,270,000. That's what we call construction. The contingency, we have items in there for engineering, design, and construction inspection that come off a USDA fee schedule, federal schedule that all of us consultants use. A few other items on down the line, and in fact, we had a budget item in there, you'll see, for a water system map to do a complete system map of your total water system, including all of your meters, and we budgeted a $30,000 item for that. And what we're suggesting that you do is you all try to do as much as that as you can, and we can take that item out as time goes on. And there again, it depends. It has relevance because of the agreed order is asking you to get that done quickly. So, bottom line, end of the day, you're looking at a total project cost of $1,664,000 of what we're proposing, and that's the first phase to get started. So that's to get the telemetry system in, basically, get the meters going, get the tanks inspected, and get the valve vaults replaced or repaired, and that sort of thing. And as far as the financing, what we're looking at is an Appalachian Regional Commission grant of $400,000, and then the remainder would come from USDA through their grant loan program, and they have about a 70-30 ratio that they look at, 70% loan, 30% grant. So we'd recommend that you'd ask them for $510,000 in grant and $754,000 in loan. So basically, about a little over 50% of that would be in grant, and the rest would be in loan. Of course, everybody wants to know what's the impact of the loan on the rates. Well, if you go to the back sheet, we got a little summary of that. 4 lines there. The interest rate on a USDA loan Right now it's about 2.5%, so we figured it could be 3% by the time you get there. Let's assume a little bit of a worst case scenario. That 3% loan would be over a term of 40 years, and that gives you a factor that's used in the next calculation on the second line. So on the third line, we take the debt or the loan, which is $754, multiply that by that factor, and then we multiply it by 1.1 because you have to have a 10% coverage to cover your sinking account. And that would give you an annual debt payment of that number there, about $37,000. So what does that mean per month? The last line just divides that by 12, and what you're looking at is about $3,100 per month. It's your debt servicing. So if you take the number of customers you have in your system, divide that into the debt service, you can see what your impact of the loan would be per customer per month. So with that said, that's what we have come to the conclusion of, and the time for applying for financing falls in the fall of the year for ARC funds and for USDA. And the timing would be now. And what we are suggesting that you entertain is the idea to at least apply for the financing, which is non-committal at this point in time. You wouldn't have to make a commitment on your financing until it came through, and that's probably going to be early next year at the very earliest. Depends on what happens with the election coming up and the federal budget. So that said, you wouldn't have to make a formal commitment until then, but if you wait, you get nowhere just by waiting. If you agree to go ahead and apply for financing, at least you can get your name in the hat and get moving and get started, get identified, and at least get yourself in a position to get financing. So it's a timing issue. And if you do wait till the first of the year, you'll be way into next year before the financing schedule comes about again where you can apply for funds. So it's almost like if you don't apply now, you skip a whole year before you ever get to do anything. So with that said, I did bring a resolution with me that just basically says the city is interested in making this application to the federal government for financing and for your consideration, and that just shows the funding agencies that you're serious about at least applying. So like I said, it's non-committal. And with that, I'll entertain any questions if anybody has any.
So you're saying we're not committing, we're just authorizing that the application be made?
That's correct.
Okay.
Part of these things that's on this cost analysis that you gave us are some things that the Tri-City Utility Board is looking at trying to get approved to get done for the city.
And if that were to be the case, we could remove those from the list to the point where, let's say if they come back in the spring and say we're ready to give you your financing, then you'd revise the application and say, well, we've got several items completed. I think the last time I was here, we talked about putting some master meters in, about 3 master meters.
Well,
and you all
master meters is one of the things we were looking at.
Yeah, and you all informed us that the Tri-City was looking at master meters, so we took them out of our estimate. So the estimate can move back and forth. It can be added to or reduced down to the
So
point.
it's negotiable?
Right.
Okay.
Until the point where you get to make the commitment for your financing once it becomes available.
I gave them a copy of this from the ad board, where they
Right.
put us for this clearinghouse.
Yeah, what the mayor's mentioned is, as part of getting yourselves eligible for financing, you have to go through a clearinghouse process that starts with the Area Development District. So you define your project to the Area Development District. It's accepted by a committee there, which is going to take place next Tuesday on the 19th. And then it goes to the state for review, and it goes through several agencies that are looking at it to make sure there's no historical issues, there's like a no historical property, or there's not some other issue that's involved, a transportation issue or a clean water issue or discharge issue, whatever. And that takes about 2 or 3 months for that process to go through. And then it comes back and you get an identification number. It's called, the acronym's called WX number. And once you have your WX number, then you can add that to your application, and it's just part of the process. In order to get financing from the state or the federal government, you have to go through that process, and just another step to show that you're serious and committed about trying to do something, not committing to do it today, but trying to get to the point where you can do something.
I have the resolution, as he's explained it. If one of you want to present it,
I will.
make it set to go right ahead.
Resolution number 392, resolution of authorization. The City of Cumberland, Kentucky hereby orders to file an application with the USDA Rural Development RD for funding under the Water and Wastewater Program for the fiscal year 2013. Said application is approved by the legislative body for the following project: water systems improvement. The City of Cumberland, Kentucky additionally authorized Carl Hatfield in his capacity as mayor to review and sign the necessary documents that may be required for payment and completion of the project. Action herein ordered shall be duly recorded in the minutes of this public meeting of the City of Cumberland, Kentucky, held on the 11th day of September 2012. Ordered this the 11th day of September 2012, and then it's got the signature and the attest.
Motion, the resolution's been presented. Your motion to adopt.
I'll make a motion to adopt.
And motion's
There's
made.
no reason. It's just a resolution to make an application.
Yeah. Do I hear a second? Do I hear a second? Is there ever any reason why someone wouldn't second and vote on this?
For myself, I don't have enough information on it, and not only that is, wouldn't we have to, in details, this would have to go through a bidding process once we...
No, that comes next.
That would be later. The bidding process would be later.
This is non-committal.
This is just to apply for an application for a grant, or for,
But whoever applies for the application, are we obligated to use them as the engineers?
No,
No,
no, this is just for you to apply to get the money, which is over a 50% grant to offset your approximately $500 a day water loss issue.
Well, one thing I question here is this resolution. It says, in his capacity of mayor to review and sign the necessary documents may be required for payment and completion of the project. I mean, that's just out and out. I mean, that's it.
well, strike that part out, if that bothers you.
It does. It bothers me right now without some review on some more of this stuff. It does right now, to tell you the truth.
Well, you could, like the mayor said, you could strike that part out. If at the point in time when financing does become available, then that document will be presented to you to be voted on at that time. It's called a letter of conditions from USDA, and there would be a notice of intent that would have to be adopted by the city. And at that point in time, then you would be making your full commitment.
As Mr. Bowles said, it'll take us at least 3 months before we even be eligible to apply for a grant. This is just making the application for determine our qualifications for one.
That's fine. I mean, I agree to that, but I don't like that section being in there.
What section is it?
This, in his capacity as mayor to review and sign the necessary documents required for payment and completion of the project.
Yeah,
Mr.
anytime.
Boggs, could we just alter it? Can we alter?
You could strike that out,
Sure.
or you could, instead of the completion of the project, say for the application. Somebody on the city will have to, you do the resolution, but the mayor may be authorized to sign the application for the,
Yeah.
the application. So maybe that completion of the project and all that part, that's not important to this resolution.
Right. That's a boilerplate document that comes from USDA, so
Yeah.
feel free to alter it.
They're trying to get kill two birds with one stone. So it's there. Once you get the money, you've already got the resolution.
Right.
But you can break it out and do 2 stones, 2 birds.
so you could just take out, just in the sentences, as the mayor to review and sign the necessary documents, period.
Sure.
For
Yeah,
application.
For application.
For an ad,
For application, yeah.
This is saying that we have an application to approve, and we don't have an application. So I don't see why we would need to approve anything until we look at an application.
Well, the application would be this. It would be a part of this that would have about 4 pages of cover documents that summarize this on a federal form. So I guess I could have brought a completed application for the mayor to execute, but I felt like that was premature. I would rather you all look at what we're talking about before I bring a formal application and make it look like we've got something we're going to try to jam down your throat and get the mayor to sign tonight. So usually this is with the application, but understanding your position, we didn't do that.
It simply is an application.
Yeah.
Well, see, one thing I question on here is this number 8, this meter setting replacement, including meter box setting and radio. We're talking about replacing 960. I mean, to me, that's not absolutely necessary at this point. Because we have some new meters, period. We've got some in the warehouse even we can use.
I remember when Miss Hoss was here and Miss Hoss was here, and I can't forget the other name, and Carolyn was with us. He talked about this when we toured the city.
To address your question about the actual number of meters, that's not set in stone. What we would end up doing is evaluating each meter box, and that number could go up or down any number of ways, as long as we stay within the budget that we're talking about. So if it's 900, that's okay. If it was 1,000, that would work. So it's not a number set in stone. Any of these items that we show here are not set in stone. They could all change as we get into the design and the evaluation of it. So don't want you to think that this is just it and we learned this in 2 or 3 months. If you make this application and actually get into this is going to take months and months to go through to make sure that this works right.
If you would, turn to this page that you got out of your box that I received this morning. It's got from the USDA on it. I think Carolyn put it over and gave it to you. If you look down the section on the second page there pertaining to Cumberland, do each of you have that? It says Cumberland Water System Improvements.
Laurel County.
You found,
yeah, there it is. Bottom of the second page.
Okay. This is the project. Here's the alternative if we don't want to go with what Mr. Bowles has just suggested. Okay, let me just read this whole thing for you. Water system improvements consist of addressing distribution system water loss and compliance issues documented by the Kentucky Division of Water. That means we've been directed to straighten these things out.
That's true.
Proposed is a radio read metering system, radio telemetry system to communicate with the system storage tanks and water plant and repairs to the water storage tanks. That's been directed by the state DOW, okay? Now, here's a projected alternative if we don't want to do that. Replace all of the old distribution water lines. Abandon ownership of the water system and defer ownership to the Tri-City Water Authority. Abandon ownership of the water system and defer ownership to a private party in the form of receivership. Now, it's your choice. You're the council. Can you explain that to them, what that means?
Well,
I have no problem with it. We need our water fixed. I just don't like the wording of some of that stuff. It seems to tie us up. You know, like on the resolution, like I said.
I think that's curable, right?
Yeah, that's
Okay.
curable. That's fine.
And two, with the, this is what they proposed or see that they could see that's wrong. We might want to get a couple engineering firms to look at it and see what their totals come up to.
I don't see anything on here. Correct me if I'm wrong about the fire hydrants. We're losing water right and left out of fire hydrants.
We don't have the fire hydrants as an identified object. If you felt that that was important, it could go into the application.
It is. I mean, we have fire hydrants sitting around right now that's pouring water.
Probably got some of
So that's something that could be added.
I mean, really.
It could be something adjusted into it. Like I said,
And that's a water loss.
this estimate's going to be on the fly for a while because, like you say, people are going to bring up something that they want to add or something that they want to take away.
I guess that's my question. Once you apply for that loan, is there room to...
Until the point when you commit.
Do you want Mr. Boggs to go over this resolution and tell him how you want it changed, and we'll change it real quick.
Because this is just a resolution to apply for the loan. It's not a committal.
I think it's a great idea, and I'm all for it.
Just the one that's interested, just the only one that we had to come in here and said, I would like to look at this.
You know, I would think in our...
help the city of Cumberland, and so far, it's not cost us one dime for all the work that he's done.
Well, I'm
for
not
us.
doubting that.
But,
I'm saying that it might come up to a different amount.
Do you have somebody in mind that you would like to call in here to do this?
Well,
That's not what we're saying, Mayor.
No, that's what I'm saying.
Well, I know that's what we're saying.
We're talking about
What do you want this, what do you want this done, what do you want done to that resolution?
No,
Tell Mr. Boggs. and we'll
Mr.
do
Boggs
it.
knows, he can correct
Okay,
it.
well, okay. I'd welcome any engineering firm in here that would want to come in and do the study that Mr. Bowles has done.
We appreciate Mr. Bowles doing it too.
When it comes to finances.
just we've gotta ask
we're just
questions.
looking at-
I understand
we have
that. I want you to ask
finances.
We
It's not
represent
about
the city, we don't
finance.
represent ourselves.
To address the question that you had about other engineers, with your status on the agreed order, then that's on a radar screen that all of us consultants can see. And when we saw that, we did a little inquiring and decided to make the effort to come to Cumberland. So it's not like you're under the radar. Everybody knows you're on the order. You're a little bit far away from the consultants, mostly in Lexington that would be looking at this, and in Louisville. And I guess the way I look at it is everybody's got the opportunity to be here, to look at this, to do what we're doing, to actually get in the race to try to convince you that we're a firm that's capable of doing it, and to get you on the path to where you can get your application in a timely manner so you don't skip a whole nother year before the application process starts. So,
Well, with us, with our, everything being the way it is, money's so tight, we have to look at every dollar, so that's why I asked that question.
right, and that's a good question to ask.
But one thing I'd like to explain too, in here it says distribution system, and we're not limited to just the telemetry system or the fire hydrants. That includes everything we need to get done over the period of 3 years or so, and getting the funds to do it with. Now, one thing that Mr. Bowles impressed me with is the fact that he's out trying to get the funds to do the work. He's out trying. He's already made the initial contacts to obtain the funding to do the work. That's what we have to be concerned with. Not only what has to be done, but how are we going to pay for it? And like you said, a 3% loan on $1,600,000 grant, or when you break it down to the 3 phases of grants, it's $700,000 here and $600,000 there. But it's just a matter of planning, or working our plans. But we need to get groundwork started so that we can actually further ourselves.
And as far as consultants, if other consultants were interested, they should be here. They should be doing the same thing that we're doing. That way you can compare apples to apples.
But now, just let's say that that we can't get a resolution or anything like that even signed to begin this process.
We didn't say we weren't gonna sign it, we just wouldn't agree with
Well, I
some
just like
wording
to know
in it.
what would be the alternative if we can't even get a resolution signed or an agreement to do it?
Nothing happens. You sat where you are now. You just sat and it pours out, and then as the time goes on, the city's under an agreed order and a complaint has been filed, and I'll have to get Mr. Boggs to help me with the legalese of this, but I think at some point in time, Carl's going on a vacation to Frankfurt to visit the judge down there, and might tell him to bring his toothbrush, but there is an issue where the state, and in their agreed order, they talked about getting water loss under control. They're going to put you on the radar screen for a long time like you've been, and believe it or not, at some point in time, they will actually come in and mandate that you do the things that are in the order, and they don't care how you get them done or what it costs. So it's a little bit of beating the game, or I guess the hammer, before it actually falls. And it may not come for 2 or 3 years. It's not going to come tomorrow, but as time goes on, the situation only gets worse. And then at the same time, what we're looking at from a funding standpoint with over 50% grant is going to be strengthened by the fact that you are under that order. So it's kind of like the state saying, we're going to give you a little chance to get you some money and get you started because we don't want to punish you, but if you don't do anything, then we will punish you. So that's kind of where it's at least what the enforcement people have told us. And we've met with them about a half a dozen times, going over the orders, making sure that we're identifying the right items, that we're not leaving something out, that sort of thing. So Carrie Haas and I carry on an email conversation about once a week now. So you can choose to take nothing alternative, or choose to at least try to do something about it, I guess, without fully committing.
We need our water took care of, that's definitely for sure. We've been trying to get it took care of.
On as you all know, I think it was 2 meetings ago, where there was the penalty to be paid, and we said, can you give us some more time? And I think one of the things that they want, as you've all talked with Ms. Haas, or those that have, one of the things about giving you more time was to give you a chance to try to do something. And luckily, Mr. Bowles has worked on most of the issues that were subject to the lawsuit. Mapping be the only final thing that's still out there. But still, this reoccurring situation of not being able to cure the defects, is just going to keep biting you in the face, inspection after inspection, every time they come in for inspection, if you can't say we're doing anything about it.
See, the map is another thing, Mr. Bowles, that we're trying to, through the Tri-C Utility Board. Of course, we haven't approved yet, but that's the things we're headed for. And I guess that's what I want to know is how's that's going to, when you apply for this, which we definitely need to do for sure, it's just, you said it would be, you could change it around.
Sure, to get the map done, you take the map out of the cost estimate.
If we get some of those things done,
right on. And Mr. Boggs reminds me of something that was in that agreed order was a corrective action plan, and the state asked for a revised corrective action plan, and I think what they're looking for is this resolution is going to be part of the corrective action plan, whereas I'm scheduled to talk to Ms. Haas tomorrow, and I sure would hate to go back and say, well, they didn't do anything, because that's going to trigger an attitude for them, whereas I'd like to go back and say they've taken the steps to apply for financing, and they're going to breathe a sigh of relief, I believe, and hope that you are successful, and they are going to help you to try to get your financing from enforcement, because they don't want to come back up here either. They want to see it cured.
We need all the money we
What
can get.
repairs have you made at the water plant so far on some of the items we were cited on?
It's about all complete except the mapping. That's the major item right now, is the mapping.
You fix the flash mix, you fix the flocculators, you drain the clarifiers. I do know that. You fix the motor control center to get the high service pump running. You got the high service pump running. So the items that were addressed at the water plant or identified in the order the water plant have been addressed.
So the flocculators have been fixed since last week?
Yeah, well, they've been fixed more than a week ago, yeah.
I thought we had one of them that didn't have all the pedals working last week.
Well, that was effective the way it's operating now. It's only got about 2 paddles missing off of the 5 paddles shipped. So that really, it still agitates the water,
Yeah, the mayor brings up a good point. It's not fixed completely. It's fixed to the point that it satisfies the state. It's band-aided.
Who fixed the first one?
CL box, $29,000.
What did they put wood paddles back on it?
Yeah, put new paddles back on it, cleaned it up, and took all the, I don't know if it's rust or not, but they cleaned the
Barnacles.
Barnacles and all. And,
That's what it looked like.
That's what it is.
Fixed the winches, the motors that weren't operating, and the entire basins that are the pond, the basins, the backwash basins, and all that stuff has been cleaned out, repaired, and I'd say they're 90% complete right now.
So we have made an effort to fix.
Yes,
Everything.
the city has made a nice effort to get it in compliance.
Well, the way I was reading this is like we hadn't made an effort at all. What you were saying, if we didn't do something tonight, we haven't made an effort at all. We have.
Now, we've got a lot to go with.
Well, yeah, you got off the starting gate.
Yeah.
We need a new system, period.
Yeah, that's true. Well, we just need to get started. Now I can remember when we had a $4 million loan to the water and sewer plant, and we're still paying on it. We still owe about $2 million in debts and things, but we make the monthly payments, and we're making them every month. We're for the first time. Are we delinquent in the bond issues or anything? No. But as long as we plan it and manage it, we can do it. And that $3,300 a month payment for the annual payment of $35,000 can be made even on the current rates.
Plus our KIA will be paid off next year. That one month.
But the only thing have to worry about is major breakdowns or something else.
Well, we're supposed to have a fund set aside for that, for
We're
emergencies.
supposed to have $180,000, but that's what we've got to start building. That's what's keeping us from getting direct loans and things from a lot of places.
Well, the condition of the system's in too, because they don't hardly want to lend money on the system that's kaput.
Well, now see,
Just about.
that's another thing. They say get the water system up to date and upgrade your sewer plant. We've got the sewer plant to look at, and that's going to be even, I'd say, more expensive than the water plant. But we've got to get the water plant fixed first. And but the sewer plant's on the agenda. But we just have to take action, and we have to be mature and accept the responsibilities that's bestowed upon us as elected officials. And I'd like to tell you, if you don't think I can do the job, you know what you can do. But
Is there any other, I mean, I've taken that out just so that now reads, City of Cumberland authorizes Carl Hatfield in his capacity as mayor to review and assign the necessary documents that may be required for the application. And the resolution just orders and allows that a application be filed with the USDA rural development for the water system improvements. So, is there anything else you'd want me to put or take away to this resolution?
That sounds fine to me, as long as we get a copy of that letter.
We will, we get it, put in your boxes tomorrow.
So you had a motion on it?
Carla made the motion.
And I'll second it
With the change.
with changes.
Well, let's do this. She made a motion, it didn't have a second, and then we've changed it.
Okay.
So we've got the new resolution. You want me to read it, and then you can do
Yeah,
a
I'll read it,
motion
and then I'll
second
make a
that
motion
way?
to-
Okay.
there will be no changes on it.
Resolution number 392.
Yeah,
There will
that's
be no
right.
changes. The
Yeah,
resolution will be
resolution
as
392,
read.
the City of
Okay.
Cumberland hereby orders to file an application with USDA Rural Development for funding under the Water and Wastewater Program for the fiscal year 2013. Said application is approved by this legislative body for the following project: water systems improvements. City of Cumberland, Kentucky, take a version here, authorize Carl Hatfield in his capacity as mayor to review and sign the necessary documents that may be required for the application. And I'll change that, make it sound legal, say required for said application. That sounds good.
One
And
other change, one other change.
Okay,
Can you just take, authorize the mayor,
Authorize the mayor,
no name,
okay, authorize mayor,
that's in case there's another mayor comes on board.
Yeah, okay. Authorize the mayor to review and sign the necessary documents.
I make a motion to accept it.
resolution
Resolution, I'm sorry.
Okay, there's your motion.
392.
392.
Okay, motion's made. Who seconded?
Carolyn, did.
I
Carolyn.
guess I'll second then, since she,
Okay, motion's made and seconded. We have a roll call vote.
Barrett,
Yes.
Bush,
yes.
Dixon,
Yes.
Elliott,
Yes.
Raleigh.
Yes.
Okay, the motion's carried and the resolution's approved.
Thank you.
That's your copy.
Thank you.
Well, he has it on your machine?
Mhm.
Well,
Want me to email it to you?
yeah, just do that. He's got it on his machine, and I've got a copy of what I took out the mayor, took out all that. I'm gonna set in for the rest of the council meeting, if it's all right. And if you all have any other questions, if you think of it, just tag me before I leave.
Okay.
I hate to leave and say, hey, wait a minute, let me back that up.
That's all you got. Thank you very much. The next item, I'd like to, we have the Waste Connection people are here. You know, we discussed that at the last meeting, and you all said you look over the costs and expenses and things and get back with us, and we'd consider it at this meeting. So if they would like to come up with, that's Mr. Carl Town, right?
Yes, sir.
Carl Town, he's a representative from Waste Connection, and I think he's got his friend David Wigginton, not David, but Aaron Reynolds, but he's a spokesperson, so.
We just wanted to come back and see if there was any other questions, anything that we can answer. I mean, we know it's a big decision and what you need to do in the future, and we enjoyed it so much last month and wanted to come back up. I know the last time we were here, there was an issue about that the agreement would be with such long term. We've looked at it, and what we're willing to do is we would need you to sign on for the long term as long as you didn't want to get back into business. But we would be willing to do like a year and 3 months or whatever the remainder of this year and the next year is. And then if you wanted to get back into business yourself, you could go back in it yourself. That would give you a chance to check out our service. I think once you signed up with us, you wouldn't want to go back into business yourself. But
That was the only concern I had, was the 7-year.
right. But we're willing to let it go for a year and a half, and you see how it works. But we wouldn't expect that you would just throw us out and then try to do something else. If you want to go back into business yourself, that's fine. Anybody got any questions that we might can answer, or?
I believe I gave you all our cost analysis, what it costs us to do at the current operation. Before the last meeting, I think I gave you a copy of what it costs us to operate and what it would be, what our refund would be if they did.
The last time we were here is, the mayor and brought up some things about, your truck's old, the issues you've been having with it. That's your cost now, but as you go on, your cost is going to increase. Where we come in, we have late model trucks, and we maintain our trucks. You guys have got, system set up, but you're not out there every 2 weeks greasing it and making sure that the brakes are set, and which costs a lot more money. What you're saying you're doing right now, it was the minimum to get by. I think that's kind of happened, and you've seen that with the breakdowns you've had with those trucks. So I think you're going to see, if you continue with that one truck that you got, you're going to see a lot more cost. But like I said, we just wanted to come back and check and see if there was any issues or anything that we could address for anything.
What's the average lifespan of the Packer truck that we've got, like the trucks that we use? What's the average lifespan of one of those?
Probably about 2 years ago for the one you got. They usually, with ours, we run 10 to 12 years. But like I said, we're greasing it every week or every 2 weeks. Every month it's getting a full inspection on PMs and oil changes, stuff like that. So we're able to get that out of our trucks. But the first time you start letting things go, it shortens the life. And like I said, based on last time it was down a week, 2 weeks almost.
About 2 weeks when it's down. Our truck was down about 2 weeks when we had to rent
About a week.
When you had to get the one from Everett.
the one from Everett and rent rollbacks.
Yeah, and then you had stuff you carried over here and it's set out in the lot and stuff. I mean, that you wouldn't be seeing that anymore. If we have a truck to break down, we got spares to come right in and take it up. So.
And we're having problems. We just spent almost $6,000 on this truck last month, and we're having problems with it again, almost in the same areas that we spent the $6,000 on. And we had to take it to the manufacturer, almost the worldwide or the Middlesboro. Stanley could probably tell you more about it, but we just had the air compressor fixed for the brakes about 6 months ago at about $1,800. That's gone down again. See, our truck is 12 years old right now.
So.
But,
My only concern was the 7-year.
Well,
And if
like I
that can
said,
be, you know,
well, like I said, we're willing to give you the year and whatever the remainder of this year and then the full next
Mm-hmm.
year to try our service. And if you don't like it, I mean, you go back in business for yourself. Gives you a chance to look at, time to figure out, you know, how you're going to pay for a new truck.
and,
That's what we'll have to do unless we go this way, with that route, we'll have to start making plans to purchase another truck. Either a used truck or a new truck, and how much are we talking about there?
We can get a new truck for $125,000 to $130,000
Yeah,
with
we-
a state contract.
Right.
And we
Ours
could-
is not the small truck, it's a 20-yard.
I know, that's what this one is, a 20-yard.
Okay. But we'll have to start
And,
negotiating.
I figured up, we've got around 860 customers, regular customers, not counting our commercial pickups. And that's $12,800 a month just for your routine customers that you're picking up. And you've got 3 employees. And I'm not gonna say what the wages are now, I know what the wages are, but I didn't have time to calculate all that because I've been out of town. But it just seems feasible to me that we could have took $7,000 or wherever it's costing and put that in on a new Packer.
I guess that's why I was asking what the lifespan of a Packer is I'm thinking, you know, would it be time for us to go ahead and start looking at trying to get one anyway?
I checked
That's
on
my
that and it's
fault.
10 years. It said 10
Yeah,
years.
10 years about the lifespan.
And I also inquired, the Packer that we have now, we can have someone to come and check that free to tell us what's wrong with it and maybe keep that one as a backup in case the new one goes down.
We couldn't get nothing out of the one if we had to.
No, you can't because I checked on the trade-in, so
Yeah,
you lose money if you trade it
I think we
in.
talked to him last time, basically, you're selling parts.
Yeah.
Yeah,
All they'll do is
But,
chop it up.
I wasn't going to lie to you about it.
but
I
you
mean,
can
that's
fix
all they
that
do,
one
they
up and
chop
let
it
it
up.
sit there, you know, and
Parts.
if you maintain it and
Well-
let it sit there for a backup.
Well,
There's-
we would, the way we figured it here, our annual or average monthly income from solid waste pickup is $18,279. And at the end of the month, we would be paying out, we'd have about a $2,000 balance at the end of the month.
$2,000 better than zero.
But we'd get that.
But here's one thing now I
That's what
wanna know
we'd get
too.
If they collected.
I wanna know on tipping, I wanna know if they're taking that down there when they're emptying it and they're taking full loads. I wanna know that.
They only go 3 times.
Are they full loads when they go though?
They were going 5 days a week, okay, at $100 a trip.
Yeah,
We cut it down to 3 days a week to make sure they had full loads.
yeah.
Now, I can't swear that I'd
Goes
say
now.
the trucks are loaded full, aren't they? They
You
go
can,
now.
you can tell by the weight of the truck.
Between 9 and 8.
8, 9 tons, right?
Yeah, it's according to what you pick
And
up.
that's what the way bills say.
Yeah.
Is that normally what, 20-yard truck hold?
8, 9 tons, yeah. Somewhere right in there, depending, newer one might hold a little more.
And it
The
depends on
only-
what the garbage is.
Yeah.
And another thing, Mayor, I feel like is these vehicles are not being maintained like they
They are
should.
now, wait a minute. You can't say that next month,
I
okay?
mean, well, why next month?
We'll
The-
get to that later, okay?
The one thing I will tell you is that in the garbage business, I know you're trying to cut costs and making sure whenever they go down there with the garbage truck that it's full, and that's a good thing. But the other side of it, you won't find any garbage company, public, private, that will let a truck sit overnight with garbage on it.
Yeah.
That's right.
Because of a
They need
fire.
to rinse them out too.
Well, because garbage catches on fire, that truck's
Yeah.
sitting there, you just lost $100-some thousand truck and whatever was sitting around it. If the hydraulics are still under pressure whenever the line busts and it sprays, wherever it sprays, that's gonna light up. So, I mean,
Are we behind on our tipping fees? Are we caught up on our payment on our tipping fees? We are.
What were you told?
I wasn't told anything. I'm asking a question. I don't know who would have told me something like that. I just asked.
We're up to date on
Well, I mean,
practically everything.
I'm just trying to figure out if we can afford it, and the way I figure we can afford. I don't know how the other council feels about it, but I feel like we'd be losing for the citizens. I think we should keep our services if we possibly can.
We only have $2,000 roughly left over.
No, that's about what
After
we,
you pay-
either way, that's what we collect, if they haul it, and that's about what we're collecting now, that's about what the profit would be. See, we're not supposed to be making a profit, we're just supposed to be paying the expenses. So that's about what we do. But with this truck, our expense, our profit is gonna be lower and lower and lower, and we'll be going in a hole on this truck that we've got now. We'll have to get another truck or do something else. That's
If you
our
buy a
whole-
used one, you're just buying somebody else's problems, like buying a new car.
But, so let's do it up or down so we can plan. We can make a plan. It's irrelevant to me as long as I know what you want. If you don't want to do it, fine. Let's close it.
Not wanting to do it, I mean,
No, it's
It's a
you just
hard
gotta make-
decision.
we just make a decision. We've discussed it now for 2 months, I think. Say, we can always go up or down.
I'm Dave Wiggins from Waste Connection.
Yes, okay.
One point that to consider is even if you do choose to buy a new truck, you know, I have no idea what type of time frame you all finance vehicles for, if it's 2 years, 5 years.
5 to 6 years with state contract.
So after about, you know, you're gonna have a 1-year warranty on that thing when you get it. And in that 5 years, you're gonna start having repairs. That, you know, won't just be a payment, so you're also gonna have, you know, 5 years, you're gonna buy a several $1,000 transmission and.
But there's different parts of the truck that's warranted for different times. It depends on who the manufacturer is. I checked on that too. Like the body is warranted by one and then the motor is warranted by somebody else, whoever made it, so.
But the
It won't be
typical,
the full 5 years, just so you know.
but the typical warranty is 1 year. The other side to that is, you know, I don't know who you talked to about the truck or whatever, but did you ask them about these new engines, what kind of problems they're having with them?
Yeah, I did.
And did they tell you anything good about them, or?
Well, there's pros and cons for both vehicles.
the older type engines, what
I
were
mean,
they?
I just
can't
got
remember the name
information.
of
I
them.
just brought it to the
Oh, the
council. That's
older
all I
one.
did.
The most popular engine that,
You got Cats, you got Cummings. I mean,
Cummings,
yeah.
that was the most popular that,
The
most
problem,
people
the
seem to
problem with everything now is they got this, what they call regen system on it that burns cleaner, and, when it's working, it works great, good, but when it don't
work, it's
when it
miserable.
don't work, it's parked side the road and you got a tow bill to get it someplace.
And then here's another thing too, it depends on which, like I said, I'm just bringing information to the council. I always like to research anything and then council make decision, but I think we ought to be informed in something. And one thing too is it depends on what type you buy, where you would have to take it to have it serviced and all. So I mean, you have to look at that too whenever you purchase one.
Where do we
So,
have them serviced now, Corey?
Middlesboro,
That's probably where
the
it's
tires
still.
we get.
Yeah, more than likely,
Is that where you all usually service?
we used to have some service at Middlesboro, Worldwide is good company,
It doesn't seem like, what I'm getting at is it doesn't seem like there's a repair company anywhere closer.
well, and I would like to throw this in
Yeah.
too. I had 2 council members from Lynch to call me and say that they had tried this for a year and they were not happy.
I had Joe Greasy,
So-
the judge exec, said that we'd be making a big mistake if we didn't do it. But I'm not trying to.
Yeah.
that's
No,
your
no,
decision.
well, that's what I'm saying,
But-
I'm bringing
He
information.
said,
I've called-
we'd be making a big mistake if we didn't. go
You
that
said somebody from Lynch,
Yeah,
when did they do this?
well, I just think that's my private stuff, I'm just,
Well, I'm just saying, I've been in the area for,
well, you
going on
just need
20
to go ask them.
yeah, I mean, they've always been
All I
doing
know
that.
is they told me that at one time they tried it for a year. I had 2 council members to tell me that.
In the research I've done, I called, well, Joe Gresham's office and stuff, and they have no problems. They've not heard anything. I've not been told anything bad. Let's put it that
Yeah,
way.
and I mean, as far as you're concerned, no,
Right.
I have not heard any negativities, you know. That's, all I've
Toward any
done
individual.
is did research
I
and
understand
bring it to
that.
the
I mean,
council. To
I
see which
understand
way to
that.
go.
Like I told you last time, it's a big
Yeah.
decision, and you need to be informed.
Did you want to say something? No, back behind Frank there.
Yeah, my name's Alan Jones. I own a garage in Harlem. I'd like to put it on the table. What about bidding it out? Instead of just going with one company.
what are you
Bidding the
talking?
garbage service out,
The garden, the complete job there.
the complete job.
Are you in that business right now? I mean, you have
Currently, yeah.
equipment, facilities?
Yes, sir, I am.
What's the name of the company?
B&A Garbage Service.
DNA. I didn't know, I didn't realize it was going around, but,
V as in Victor. B&A Garbage Service.
are you familiar with what we were doing here then discussing? Would you like to make a,
I'm not gonna make the motion, you know, to me, you know, still going, I mean, I respect you all, everything, I ain't got nothing against nobody, but bidding it out, you'll come out a lot cheaper. You'll come out, I mean, you get just the same quality of service. You bid it out to local people,
yeah.
you keep your money in-house, in Harlan. And that's
Well,
what
we haven't, all we've done is been reviewing, discussing
Yeah, that's
everything.
all
If
we
you'd like to,
Yeah.
if you'd like to put in your bid, we'd be more than glad to, right? Would the council be interested in
Yes.
looking at
I
another?
didn't know that we even had
I didn't either.
anyone, no offense, I just didn't know we had anyone else.
But we do want to go local on that.
And as far as these
Close to
two
Cumberland, if we
council
can get, you know.
members that called me,
Yeah.
they did not say who it was that did that
Right,
service for
I'm
them.
just
I
unaware
mean,
of
they're
them
just
ever
saying
having.
it did not work out for their city.
Right.
And they gave me some whys and fours, but that's,
Do you
that's
still
right.
take Carolyn?
No, that's what I'm saying. I've
Yeah.
been in this for years,
Yeah.
and I mean, I've never known anybody up there to be doing their service.
For 1 year, they said.
What was
So
your
it
name
wasn't
again,
their
sir?
company, is what you're
No,
saying?
no,
Oh,
what I'm
okay.
saying is they didn't name the company.
Okay.
I did not ask and did not, you know, they just
Yeah.
told me they weren't happy with doing that for their city.
You know, like I said, we're here. We offered on, you know, to join in on the county. If you want to bid it out, that's fine. I mean, you got a process to go through, and you know, if you bid it out, we'll be here to bid on it and stuff. But I'd like to address one thing the gentleman said, and we're not throwing stones at anybody either. But you know, he makes the comment that the money stays in Harlan. Every one of our drivers is local. That when you go out and buy a truck, or he goes out and buy a truck, it's not Harlan. It's going to be in some other county or state. So the money stays. It doesn't matter. The money's going to stay here in the area that's going to be spent in the area, no matter if it's this gentleman or us. So don't. I just hate hearing that somebody makes it that, you know, it's like we're a public corporation. We're just taking all the money and running, and you know, unfortunately we can't, because we got to have local people to, and that's what we support. And we told you what our pay rates are. And I think based on that, we're spending a lot more in the county. But I appreciate your time, and like I
There's one
said,
other thing, I'd like to consider the insurance on the truck that we're paying is about $3,000 a year. And I'd like to get that garbage out of the center of town, like, you know, and this way it would be gone.
Yeah.
If you all were doing that.
yeah, I mean, so whatever you decide to do, we're here to support you.
So,
Well, since we found out about the new gentleman, I guess we should entertain it, get some figures from both sides. I hate to say yay or nay when I didn't know we had anybody else interested.
Well, if you're going to bid it out, you need to come up with some, you know, specifications, what kind of insurance requirements you're looking for. Because, you know, that will be the
services.
difference in some of the companies. I mean, you know, where we're carrying $10 million at the end of the day for insurance, I'm not sure what this gentleman's carrying, but
What about daily service? I mean, I guess that's how I should have worded it. Daily service, picking up the garbage would, if you all did it, let's say for instance, do you all every day up here picking up garbage, or?
I think we were planning on being in town 3 days a week doing stuff, and then if there was any special pickups after that. You know, and again, I think I mentioned at the last meeting that, you know, we hope nobody ever gets hurt, but whenever you look at that insurance policy that covers, I mean, you want somebody out there that's, you know, got the money to back it up. Because once it happens, if they don't have enough money or whatever, then, you know, they fall back to the next person.
Which is us.
And which is, since you contracted with them.
I think we have some commercial business that get their garbage picked up 5 times a week, don't we?
Yeah, if we would either do that with either extra container, or if we had to come up here for that, then
I know
we would do
some of
that.
them, probably like nursing homes,
Yeah.
restaurants.
I mean, we always make arrangements with the customers to service them. But to actual come up here and do the residential side, we
That's
probably
what I was
looking at-
referring to, the-
It'd be 2-3 days to
Residential.
get it done. So, again, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
We
you.
we appreciate